Hello again, everybody. We are still doing a couple of videos for the alcohol ink giveaway, so you need to check that out. I do need to just explain a few things. I'm so sorry, it's been a little while since I've done a video. We were gone for Thanksgiving. I'm in Canada, so we had Thanksgiving last weekend, and I've got tennis elbow, tendonitis in my elbow, and all this from painting, of course. So anyways, there's still a couple of videos, but we are going to be finishing up, and I do want to go through a few of the questions and stuff, but in this video, we are going to look at how to use DIY alcohol inks. So I have a video on how I've made DIY alcohol inks. I will link to it here. It is in this same playlist. It is one of the videos you have to watch to enter the giveaway. But there is two videos on my channel. One was done a few years ago, and it's really long, and I'm just all kind of a disaster in it. And some of you already know I've gotten some crazy comments on there, and so many people. And I have linked to it at the beginning. I have linked to the new, shorter, revised version at the beginning of the video. But people miss that and don't see it, and then they comment and everything and tell me that I'm a loser and I should never teach anything. So these are my DIY alcohol inks. These are the ones I made a few years ago in that original video. I have made a few since then, a few more. There is a few updated ones. And these are what I've made them with. So Sharpies, and I'm sure the Bics will work just as well. But I like to keep my Bics for the other kind of paintings I do with flowers and stuff, and that is another video in this playlist. So yeah, before we get started, I'm just going to apologize again for not having a video up for, I think it's been over a week. And we're still doing the giveaway. I am going to be doing the draw, so if you haven't watched those videos, you need to start watching them because the draw is going to be happening next week sometime. So just get them done. You do need to watch every one, comment on each one, and give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on each one. And you need to be subscribed. If you're wondering where the videos are, they are all in this playlist. It's called Alcohol Ink Giveaway Playlist. I'm going to have a little pop-up thing at the end of this video that will show you, but if you just click on my playlist, it will be in there. So the reason why I wanted to do this video was because there is a difference between the bought-in manufactured alcohol inks and the DIY ones, and I use different ones for different purposes. And so we're going to cover all of that. We're going to clear up some of I get asked a lot of questions about my DIY alcohol inks, so we're going to hopefully clear up some of that in this video. Yeah, so let's get started on this. So usually what I like to do, if I remember, with alcohol inks is I collect these cereal bags, and they're just a really good, cheap, helping recycle way of protecting your surface. So I just rip them as clean as I can and empty out and clean off all the powder and dust from the cereal, and I've got an awesome surface here. I do actually use these a lot. So one of the first ways to use these, basically the rule is, for me, for myself, this is not a rule, have to be a rule for anybody else, is whatever I am not doing these with. So if I want to do some really fancy, like you can see some of my videos I've done where I do the flowers where I blow out, and then there's a rose that I painted on ceramic tile where I use markers, and I do think I use some of this. I wouldn't use my DIYs for that because they aren't as effective. It's not, so some of these techniques that I'm sharing here, they don't have to be just with alcohol inks. They'll work with other kinds of inks too. And I'm sure there's many more techniques. I'm just going over a few. So I am just going to use a stencil. This is just a very basic way, and it's just like using it like any of those ink sprays that you would buy, acrylic or alcohol, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just a cheap way to use ink sprays. And yeah, I'm just making a mixed media background just to show you how you can use these DIY inks in ways that you wouldn't traditionally use alcohol inks. So this is more how you would use acrylic inks or the ink sprays you buy in like the mixed media section of Michaels. They used to, one of the brands, Tattered Angels, now there's Dilutions, and I think Ranger has some ink sprays. And this is just a very cheap, easy, very good substitution. They work very well as a substitution for those inks. And I just used a little mark making tool that I bought at Michael's, and that's what made those marks at the beginning. And now I'm using one of my smaller jelly plates, and you can use this just directly on a surface as well, but it kind of gives a little bit of a different effect when you make a print from it, from a printing plate. So you can kind of see the different effects. And I use Mod Podge. Sometimes with just the ink, it's too loose, it's too runny, and the Mod Podge just gives it a little bit more of a smooth, maybe opaque look, and it also gives a finish right away that you can work on after. You can see the difference there. And the reason why the stencil was kind of already had some ink on it, and now I'm using some antibacterial soap that I actually bought for those bottles. That's how I got the bottles for the ink sprays. I just bought a bunch of those bottles. And that is actually a really cool effect. I didn't use my brayer. I used painting, just a brush. And here, I am using it to stamp. And so I have a lot of these texture stamps. And they're really cool. Once these set, they won't move. So some of the ink sprays you buy are going to move once you get water on them, or once you even use any kind of gesso or Mod Podge on them. These alcohol inks will stay set once they dry. You can move them with some rubbing alcohol or blending solution, but for the most part they are set on this surface, at least. Not on every surface, not on a Yupo surface or a that kind of surface. And I'm just basically showing you how you can use a stamp. And I think here we've got some more Mod Podge here, and then I think I stamp on this one. Oh, I'm just doing like a script stamp and just showing you. I'm just basically showing you a bunch of different ways that I use them with my jelly plate. And yeah, you could do this right on the surface, but it does give a different effect, and it's kind of just another fun way to use your art supplies. And the jelly plate is always lots of fun. I'm going to be doing a series of videos with the jelly plate, but it probably won't be until after Christmas. And I do have some videos already with the jelly plate. You can check those out if you would like. And it just gives, these texture stamps just give a little bit of an effect. I'm not looking for a perfect image of the stamp there. I'm just looking for more just a texture. And it's a really great way to make a background for your art journals. So you may have already watched the videos I did for these ones. They're two separate videos. And this was using more markers, the Bic markers. Oh no, just whatever alcohol markers I like the colors of. So there was some Bic ones, there was some Copics and whatever. And then I used some different mixatives. And this was using like the Jacquard and Ranger alcohol inks. So you can check out those videos, but I'm going to show you kind of how the DIY ones work. And I'm going to try to use similar colors just so you can have something to compare it to. So again, I'm going to use my straw and my blending brush. Looks like I'm running out of this, so actually I'm going to fill this up. And while I'm doing that, I will tell you about the video where you can see how I make my own blending solution. It's just in the top right there. Okay, so what I'm going to start out with is some pink, and I just have this, and I don't worry too much. Like I said, these are a very cheap way to make any inks, actually. So yes, they're DIY alcohol inks, but I also use them in any way that I would use any inks, acrylic inks, whatever, for canvases, as you've seen by some of the techniques that I've already shared. So this is just a very cheap solution anytime you want to use inks. Now I could just use this dropper. This just happens to be in the spray one. I have some that are just in this. It's quite a large hole, so it comes out very kind of uncontrolled. But, you know, we can use this. And I just try to kind of decontaminate it as much as possible. But I really don't care too much if the colors get super mixed, because I use this in a mixed media style, so that all works for me. But, you know, if you want to be careful, you can use different, I'm all out of these, but you can use different colors for different ones, for different sprays. So that's cool. It's a little, it doesn't have quite the same effect as the manufactured alcohol inks, but still it's very cool. You also want to use less of it because it does run out more. Just put a little thing in there. We're going to probably have to do it. So you won't need as much blending solution. You might need a little, but I'm going to actually see what happens without it. So as you can see, it doesn't grab on as much. It doesn't react the same. And this is actually has much more of an odor than the manufactured ones. The manufactured ones I really don't feel have much of an odor at all. If you ever spray these, like I've shown you in some of these techniques, you do want to be careful of the fumes. I think I'm going to put a little bit of brown in here just to show you. So it's quite uncontrollable. So it still has cool effects, but it's not exactly the same as alcohol inks or as the Botan manufactured ones. So if I wanted to do some more pink, I could just use this, but like it doesn't do the same thing. And I haven't had to use my blending solution at all yet because there's just too much. It's just too runny. You can tell, like when I did this one, it stopped. I was able to stop it. This one is just, it's much more harder to stop. So it still gives a cool effect, but there we go. So I like the brown interacting there and giving that fine, like this line here. If you haven't yet watched my video on how to seal your alcohol ink projects, then do that. Also, one thing I want to mention, because I forgot to mention the last one, alcohol inks are not light fast. So you want to just be aware of that. So keep them out of direct sunlight. These are great to give as gifts. or to make for home, like your own art, home decor. And I generally keep things, even when they do say they're light fast, I generally keep things out of sunlight because nothing's going to last forever. But this will still last for a decent amount of time. So what I find with these, okay, so now I've completely changed. It's no longer a flower. Is it's hard to get a specific shape. You're just gonna get kind of an abstract thing, and you want to layer and layer. So now I kind of like that over there, but I want to add some more pink. And these drops can be really cool too. And let's just see what happens with the blending solution. So you can see a little bit, that kind of lightens it up a little bit. So it pushes it out more. That blending solution just clears everything out. So if you wanted to use that and then make some more, put some more of your color where you want it, you can do that. It still blows, kind of cool, but I love this edge there. It's more of a abstract look. Here's one that I did right here, and this dried. It's not going to be as intense. It's not going to be as vivid. And this one I just kept layering colors over, and a lot of yellow, so that's why it's brightened up a little bit. So I think I'm going to keep that one darker. So that's how you can use these DIY alcohol inks on tile. It's not going to be easy to do a specific flower, but even this isn't really a specific flower. But it kind of says flower more than, you know, any of these do. You know, you can kind of work with this a little bit and just experiment. And just kind of see where that goes, but you can see it's very hard to control. This is hard to control too, but it's a little bit easier. See, just a little bit of blowing and it's gone already, because it's just a lot more runny for whatever reason. One thing I will say is that with these, you can do this really cool effect where you blow and it kind of breaks up the pigment into little icebergs. Not really icebergs, but little chunks. So if you just watch closely here, I'm going to try to show you right here. And you can see some of these broken up. So do you see how it breaks them up? Once they start drying, all these little pieces here. Yeah, see that one there? There, see? They kind of crack off of each other, and it's really cool. There. And I don't find that at all with the manufactured ones. This green is from the brown and the yellow mixing together. So that's interesting. I don't really want it there, because it kind of doesn't make sense. So that is how that works with the DIY alcohol inks on ceramic tile. So with this example, I have a canvas. I have put some clear gesso on it. And then I've used just like some mark making tools to just make a few strokes in there. You probably can't see them very well on the canvas. And then I kind of smooth it out and just any kind of strokes. I wasn't going for a specific look, just put some texture on there. Often I will use a palette knife when I've done a lot of my flower, acrylic flower paintings. I'll do a palette knife, and just to give it some cool texture in the back. So I'll just show you a very simple way of how I would use my alcohol inks. So I love to spray my mixed media canvases, the backgrounds, with inks. And you can buy these. You can buy inks, just regular inks. I don't know if they're alcohol inks. But they can be, like for me, they're about $7 a bottle. Whereas this costs, well, like say I pay $15 for 30 Sharpies. Because I always get them when they have like a big pack on sale. I always buy a couple of them. So let's say I get them for 30 for $15. So that's $2. That's 50 cents each, right? I'm not good at math. 50 cents each. And the alcohol that I use, this is like a few dollars. So for, you know, a couple of dollars as opposed to $7. It does save a lot of money. And I also don't feel like I need to be precious with it. I don't need to be, so I can just be free, which is what you want to do when you're an artist. So when I use stencils and whatever, here, actually let's use this. No, I want to use this one just to see. I don't know if it'll be. So alcohol, these inks are a little bit, they could be a little bit runny or watery. But if you know that, then, you know, I just kind of go with that effect and I don't let it bother me. I am just going to, probably shouldn't use this, just to cover that up so I don't get that straight edge there. And I just want a little bit of a green effect. And there we go. Oh, it went underneath anyways. Whatever, who cares? I'm just going to wipe this off. So the other thing with alcohol inks is that you can reactivate them again, but they're not like, lots of times in mixed media backgrounds, you know, we use inks and whatever. Like this will just kind of smudge, and if I stamp with it and whatever, it's going to move around. Now this will move around as well, but not forever. And we can use some alcohol, I just have 70%. And remember, with the spraying, you want to be mindful of the fumes. And this is definitely more, there's more fumes with this than with these. Also, if you're making sprays with these, it costs a lot more money too. So you can make sprays with these as well. Just letting you know. And I know there's going to be some of you who are going to comment saying that I should not be spraying these because rubbing alcohol is not meant to be sprayed. Although I did buy it, although you can buy it in a, right there. But this is 70%. I've never seen it as spray can with 99%. Just see what happens if we do that. And then with a brown, this might not work as well, and it's gonna have a little bit of a frame there, but that's not a big deal. So that's kind of cool. If I just let that sit, it'll be fine, and it won't reactivate once it's completely dry. You can go in and just spray that around a little bit more. And if you have, so now my marks here that I put in there are really showing even more. And this works even with some water. It just helps to make it drip more, and it kind of separates it out more. So it's kind of cool as well. So you get the idea with how this works. I'm just going to spray a little bit of the purple. Well, no, maybe more of a pink. Yeah, that's better. I like that. So this is just kind of a very basic way of how I would do canvases. I do have a video. It's not in this playlist, but you might find it interesting to watch. It's a very time-lapse video. I painted a whole mural, and I did the background all in my DIY inks. The whole background, and then I would do acrylic paint and whatnot. But it was a mural, like photo booth. So check that out. it was done over a week, and so I time-lapsed it into like, I don't know, I think maybe I did it in 11 minutes. Anyways, you can check that out. So if you wanted to keep this face, it's there, and you can just kind of go over it again. Oh, my dog Archie is hearing that I'm in here, and he likes to sit outside the door. He really likes sitting with me. He'll sit at my feet while I'm working. But I was hoping he would just stay upstairs and sleep so I could just kind of focus on this a little more. Anyways, so you get the idea. There's so many more different things you can do. You can work with more stenciling. We could even do some stamping on there like I showed you with the art journal book. If you wanted to put molding paste in here, modeling paste, it really can kind of go through the cracks and crevices, and that can be really cool. But I think I'm just going to leave this. I could really wash this out more if I wanted. And I just kind of spray with water and alcohol. If you don't want those drips, you just spray more. I actually really like this. I'm hoping you can see that. Those just very slight, subtle textures are actually really cool. Just going to let this drip a little more. Put some orange in there. Maybe a little bit more of the pink. This pink is very powerful. So you can see the pink kind of goes around the yellow because that yellow was already there. It's not moving now. So I think that's good. All right. So I hope that gave you some good ideas as to what to do with these. They don't work exactly the same way. The things that you would typically do with these, you're not going to get the same effect. You can, you know, with the ceramic tiles, you can do it, but you'll get a different effect. I like it because once it's dry, I can work on top of it and I don't have to worry about it reactivating like these would, or maybe some other inks that I've used in the past that I've bought. All right, so I am going to be doing another video. Make sure that you do watch all of the videos if you haven't. Get going on that because I am going to be doing the draw sometime next week. And so I think I want to do another video with glass and acetate and mirror and stuff like that. So that's going to be coming up. I might even film that right after this one if I can. And then I think we're getting to the end. I'm hoping I am. I'm going to check my list and see what videos I want, what other videos I haven't done yet. But all right, so I'll see you later. Bye.